That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Today is August 19th, 2017. And to my left, I have a very special guest here. Actually, Trey, my board operator here, introduced me to this gentleman. And this is Jared Campbell. Jared Campbell is a vet, and I'm going to get him on real quick right here. He's going to give us a quick bio of himself to let everybody know what he's doing, and we're going to talk about what he does, and that is training service dogs. Jared, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you're on here. I tell you what, tell everybody who you are, where you've been, your tour of duty, and just a little bit about your academy with the dogs, and then we'll get into the questions and stuff.
Well, my name is Jared Campbell, and I'm an Iraq veteran. I joined back in 2001. My first duty station was in Korea, in Yongsan. After that, I end up rotating back to the States, and I end up going to Iraq in '04, and it was August of '04, and I ended December 15th, 2005. It was a 15-month deployment in Iraq. When I came back from Iraq, I went to Fort Lee, Virginia. My primary MOS was supply. And then in 2007, the Army diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress disorder. Then towards the end of 2008, I was medically retired because of PTSD. My knowledge with dogs go all the way back to 2008. And then in 2014, my wife and I were looking at me getting a possible service dog for PTSD. And for like a lot of vets, I was told I had to wait 2 to 5 years. I had to fill out these large applications and go to other states like Florida and things like that, be away from my family for 9 months or so to train with a dog. Well, for me, doing a 15-month deployment in Iraq, just going away for 9 months, again, away from my family to train a dog, just didn't seem right.
Jared, I want to stop you here because you brought up a point that helps to clarify something. So you're saying you were analyzed or diagnosed as having PTSD, okay? And you had to wait a certain amount of time before they would allow you to train with a dog?
It was about a 9-month. I can't remember the name of the organization in Florida off the top of my head, but they wanted me to go there if I was accepted and train the dog, be with that dog, with the dog that I would pair up with, but they'd be there for 9 months to train this dog.
So this is a long process here, and so because of that, that kind of made you and your wife think a little differently on what you're going to be doing with your Canine Academy. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, right before our kids got out of school this year, we started Campbell's Canine Academy, and we brought the philosophy of which, when I paired up with my service dog, Moose, he was about 10 months old, and this was back in 2014. We paired up with him, and we did a lot of extensive research, and we picked the brains of other trainers, even trainers I had mentored over the years, and we realized, looking at certain laws, that yes, veterans can train their own service dogs, but there are certain requirements in which you have to abide by to train the dog properly. So with that, it was a very long training process. It took me, because I did it myself, it took me 1.5 years to train Moose properly and to fit into public. With that philosophy, I realized that I'll be honest with a lot of you veterans, I simplified service dog training through research. It's all about selection. It's all about pairing you with the dog that will fit you, whether it's a puppy or an older dog. Campbell's Canine Academy will help you find that dog. The best areas to find dogs, you can look on Craigslist. You can go and see these dogs. Campbell's Canine Academy will give a veteran a free consultation. If you find a dog, we will go with you, evaluate the dog, and determine if that dog will fit you to be your service dog.
Okay, we're talking in a realm that people know. There's people listening who have no clue as to why does a vet need a service dog? What does the service dog do to assist the vet? Can you give a couple scenarios or examples of persons with a particular challenge and how a dog trained properly, like you said, selecting the right dog can help that vet under certain situations? You can even use yourself, I guess, from what you were telling me.
Right. And once a dog is trained properly, like I said, it's about the selection. Some dogs have the natural ability, and I guess I was lucky when I paired up with the German Shepherd. The dog already had natural ability. It could scan left and right, can scan my six, watch my back, I eventually had to teach him to scan rooftops because I had a problem with rooftops when I was in Iraq. I trained the dog how to watch my six standing in a grocery line by training it that way. I trained the dog to fit me. And there's dogs do have natural calming ability. And if you find the right dog and pair with it, that dog can do wonders for a veteran. Some of the natural calming abilities that a dog can give you is fit with the right handler, the dog can rub your leg, which that can indicate either one, your anxiety is up, or two, somebody's approaching you. A lot of German Shepherds do this with their handlers. They will rub the leg of their handler. All dogs can have this ability if trained properly. Dogs can also put their paws on you, which is signifying either your anxiety is up and they're trying to calm you, or they're telling you something. And you got to be also keen to your surroundings as well with the dogs. So a well-trained service dog can do wonders. It can bring a veteran back to their family. And I'm speaking from experience.
You know what I noticed? You hear PTSD and you think that the veteran is just, there's a challenge. But listening to you, what you're kind of telling me, which might be new to some other people may not know as well, is everything's normal except for this area of my life. I just feel a little uneasy on my back, my 6 o'clock position, and I got issues with the rooftops. Everywhere else, I'm good to go. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, that's correct. And what I will do is, because I understand PTSD, and to help a veteran, I will train the dog to fit you. What we ask from the vets that will come to us for help is they give us every detail possible of what's bothering you with PTSD so we can train that dog properly. Like I said, simplifying this is making the dog fit you. If you want a dog that will flip on your light switch because you're having a nightmare, we can work that around and give you a dog that do that. For me, I'm the type of veteran, I couldn't see myself with a dog flipping on my light switch when I had a nightmare. There are times, a long time ago I would sleep with a 9mm, and that was when I was still in the military. So if a dog flipped on my light switch, that could be bad, but
I understand. Everybody's got their own thing, and I respect it. I know, because what affects one person doesn't affect another. So you have to be specific, but you got to be able to find out what that specific need is. And so you're getting all this information, you're gleaning all this information from the veteran and from the VA or whatever it is that you get your information from, and then you go to train this dog. I've got some points here. What's the PAT test? Explain the PAT test. And I think there's a PAT test, but you've got your own PAT test as well. So explain what it is in general, and then explain how you do it.
Well, the PAT test is a public access test. There are some foundations who do this, the 501c3s, and they all have their own standards. Some of them require 70% or an 80% to pass. With me in Campbell's Canine Academy, I believe in a higher standard. I believe you should completely pass my PAT test. It's not grade school. I don't believe a 70 or 80% passes my PAT. If you're a veteran and you decide to go the route to train your own service dog, but you need pointers, please call us. We can help you.
But what's the PAT test consist of?
The PAT test consists of several things. It can test the dog from how it actually starts in a parking lot. We watch the dog how it will maneuver to make sure the dog isn't scared and will lead the person with disability or even the veteran with disabilities out into a moving car and you get hit. So we want to watch how the dog moves about the parking lot. We want to watch how the dog will unload and load in your vehicle if it's prop and safer for the dog. You don't want to injure your service dog, so you want to make sure you train the dog to unload properly and load properly. We test a restaurant. We'll take the veteran or anybody with a disability to a restaurant, and we will, this may sound a little funny, but we will bait your dog with food on the floor to see how your dog will react. If the dog is trained properly, it should not take the piece of food. If it does, it fails. And then we have to evaluate again and try another PAT test in a later date. So we test from everything from elevators to stairs, how the dog maneuvers, how to maneuver through the store, everything. So I don't have a copy of it on me, but anything you can basically think of, my PAT test covers.
Some people have made comments about, or you see signs that pets aren't allowed, service dogs are, or service dogs are allowed, but pets aren't. And some people bring in their animals, and you kind of think that they're using the service dog scenario to allow their pet to get inside there. Is there any way to differentiate between somebody who's just sneaking in their pet as compared to a true service dog? Yes,
a true service dog, the proof is in the pudding on how the dog's trained. If if a dog isn't trained properly, you may be in a restaurant and it may jump on the table and eat your food. It may defecate on the floor or even soil into a public place. A well-trained service dog is completely potty trained. It should not defecate itself on the floor or soil the floor in a public place. Service dogs should not lunge at other dogs or people, and vice versa. They should not go up and sniff the rear ends of a human being while in the store. There's certain things that a service dog is trained not to do. If you see a service dog,
it's focused on its master. It should be.
It should be and that's one thing we train at Campbell's Canine Academy is that we focus. Basically, we train the dog to focus on you 100%. That's the most important training we will give your dog, and we teach the dog to look at you. It's called focus. In German, we call it pass off in German, which basically it signals the dog to watch me. And that's probably the most important thing we will teach your dog, other than basic obedience to advanced level training, all the way to teaching it the service to be your service dog.
Now, Jared, I may be putting you on the spot here, and if I am, let me know. If I was to give you me as an example, I'm just going to make up a scenario with me. Let's say I've had a lot of explosions near me. I'm jittery, man, when it comes to a car backfiring or a firecracker or something like that. And because of that, I'm kind of like, I get depressed if I'm alone. If I tell you all this and you get a service dog, what could a service dog do for me? What would you do to a service dog to help ease that or make it know, the dog know I'm coming on with this depression or this fear of loud noises?
Right. I mean, that's a very good question. And that's why like I'll keep literally throughout this time is that selection is everything. Pairing is everything. The dog that's completely bonded to its handler will sense the handler when it's anxiety. It doesn't even have to be a service dog. If you find the right dog and it fits you, the dog will know everything about you. It watch you. It can feel your anxiety. And like I said, the dog will come up. Most service dogs should have the ability to be a lap dog when you need it to. You know, even if you have a 100-pound service dog, it's not bad for it to lay in your lap when you have anxiety. It's not bad for it to put its paws on you to curb your anxiety or lick you. You know, I train my service dog when I say work. When my anxiety is up, I tell my own dog work, and he'll come over to me and he'll lick me, put his paws on me, and that's how I trained him. And how I did that was each and every time I put the vest on him, I used the word work. And then when I started to get anxiety, I would use the same command, work. So I trained mine to service me when I needed the service. But each and every veteran will be different on how we train the dog.
So are you going to ask the veteran what he wants the dog to do? Or are you going to say, well, if the guy is fearful of loud noises, I'm going to teach this dog every time you hear a loud noise like that, you'll watch the vibration of the master, and then you just come up and just rub up on the dog.
Right, and a lot of that comes with training and over time. That's why I like the veterans to give me details so we can train the dog. And we'll run the dog through scenarios. We'll make loud noises and things like that to see how the dog responds. And this is where, like I said, selection is everything, and so is bonding. But yeah, we will run the dog through tons and tons of scenarios and train the dog to service the veteran in that way.
You know, it's funny, I can't remember the name of the writer of the Beach Boys for Good Vibrations. I think he was reading an article or something about how animals can feel the vibrations, and that's why he wrote that song, Good Vibrations. He's getting it off the girl. So it's amazing how the dog can feel the sensation or vibrations emanating from the master, and to be able to determine what the dog has to do to calm down the master. Now let's talk about, we don't got much time, but let's talk about how you train, what it costs to train, how long it takes, who you provide for, things like that.
We're actually very affordable. Unfortunately, we are not a 501c3. Maybe down the road we will be if we ever get a grant or something. We may change to a 501c3. But I've made my training so affordable for veterans because I don't believe veterans should pay $10,000 or $18,000 or $20,000 to train a service dog. Depending on the veteran's financial background, we will be able to work with the veteran. We usually charge $150 for each 6 weeks of training because all my cycles are breaking down in 6 sessions. So it takes a year to train your dog. So if you're listening and you're a veteran, you can do the math. If you can't afford $150, we can do $100 for each 6 weeks of training. We here at Campbell's Canine Academy, when we help veterans, we don't do it for the money. We do it to give back to you guys who have served.
But you got to pay the bills, so we understand that.
And that's what I'm saying. And for me, you know, I'm trying not to tear up, but I care about every single one of you out there if you're a veteran, and I want to help you. If you give me that opportunity, I will work with you on every way possible. I just ask for my veterans to be honest with me up front, because I will always shoot you straight.
Jared, what's the best way they can make contact with you? You have a website or anything?
We actually have a Facebook page right now. We are currently working on an official website. We're waiting for the kids to go back to school so we can have time. I got 5 kids and a beautiful wife. I'm gonna give a shout out to her. You know, she's been my rock, and through, you know, through my darkest hours, she's been there. So.
That's great. You gotta have a strong woman. That's
Having
good.
I've had 4 of Jared's kids so far at Ben Milam. His son, just moved on to Ada Henderson, or not Ada. It's now Cameron Elementary. That's how old I am. But they're great kids, and of course I've had an interaction with him and his wife, and the fact these kids they're great, but woo, high energy. They are high energy. I love having them though.
Trey, how much time I got before the break?
This is the break that I can go whenever you're ready.
Okay, we're gonna cut it off in just a minute. Tell everybody, Jared, once again how they can get a hold of you, and real quick, name of the business, how they can get a hold of you, and anything else you want to say.
The best way to get a hold of us is through Facebook. Go to fb.me/Campbell's CAMPBELLS K9 and that's Academy. That's our Facebook page. You can also call my wife. Her number is 979-525-9599. And my cell phone is 254-275-8496. But please keep in mind, my cell phone is not working very well. So that first number, my wife's cell phone, is the best way to get a hold of me right now until I do get my cell phone fixed. Or please hit us up on our page, like us, and of course send us a message, because we have a 100% response rate. We can reply to you in probably less than an hour.
Okay, and also too, probably about Monday or Tuesday, we'll have this video up on YouTube. You can check it out, listen to it again, take your notes down if you missed anything, or give us a call here at the studio at 254-697-6633. Jared, we're going to have to end it right here. I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your information with the public there. Hopefully it all works out, and we will talk again soon, I'm sure. Trey, let's take a break, and we'll see you on the other side.